Yo, welcome back to the Transfer Portal CFB, presented by No Context CFB, Week 5 review. That's the podcast today. And I know what you're wondering. Where are other people? It's just Liam. I have to listen to Liam Blutman for like 40 minutes an hour. That kind of stinks. No, it doesn't stink. First of all, please. This is good stuff. We're going to talk college football. I don't know how this is going to go. It's just myself, obviously, as we've kind of stated. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone else is busy. It is what it is. It's all good. It's college football season, though. I'm here to talk college football. And hey, shout out Idaho. Shout out the Idaho Vandals, who sent me some stickers, a poster that's in the other room, and an Idaho shirt. Shout out to the Idaho Vandals for being the first college football team to send me, like a care package, a swag bag. That means a lot. It's pretty dope too. And Idaho had a really good win this week at Eastern Washington. Javai McCoy, Payne Haddon, absolutely legendary players at that school. And that team, that program, in an era where we're seeing all this realignment, so many teams moving up to the FBS2, Idaho did the other thing, FBS to FCS, and just dominating. And the polls were sleeping on them entering the season. I'm number 4 entering the season. I'd say confidently it's the second best team in the FCS right now. Hopefully get Idaho against South Dakota State in the national championship game. Hopefully could be there too. Two of my favorite programs in the FCS. Would love to go watch that game. But Idaho, man, what Jason Eck is doing there is so impressive. But let's put some focus on the FBS, kind of talk about games that went down. We're going to start with Thursday, then Friday, then get to Saturday. And yeah, Duke Notre Dame. Can't wait to talk about that one. Western Kentucky got off on the right foot against MTSU, kind of a slow start, and then Western Kentucky kind of found a groove on offense. The defense was really good. Jacquez Evans, again, one of the most underappreciated players in the country, continues to be. He had a few uncharacteristic, like he had like 3 penalties maybe in that game. I don't know the exact number, but he's just such a game wrecker. And at that level in this Conference USA, he's going to produce and generate so much pressure and big plays every single week. That's why I voted him as an All-American second team entering the season. He's that good, and he's really going to be able to prove that all Conference USA season. Tulsa got that dub over Temple. We could kind of gloss over that one, but it was pretty ugly for Temple. Really ugly game for them. Their offense couldn't generate anything. A lot of interesting coaching decisions that I really disagreed with. Jacksonville State, Sam Houston really was a bad football game, but very entertaining. Both teams kind of left a lot to be desired. Sam Houston had a very good opportunity to get their first FBS win. Their anemic offense showed up in a big way, scored 21 in the first half. They lose 35-28 in overtime, and the ref messed up his coin flip, which I ain't never seen before. The ref had to redo his coin toss in overtime because the coin didn't toss. I mean, just college football things. I didn't put that in memes of the week, so that was bad by me. But good win for Jacksonville State. They made really good second half adjustments, Rich Rod did, and it took a while to get going. But when we got to that fourth quarter, we really saw who the better, more conditioned, more physical, better coach team was, and that was Jacksonville State. Impressive drive at the end of the game to tie that one up, and they deserved that win. That was a really good football game. I'm looking forward to a whole bunch more Fun Friends USA on these weekdays. That's why I'm calling it. I'm calling it Fun Friends USA. I don't know if CUSA wants to use that name, but it's kind of good. It's better than any other name that you're going to get. On Friday, Louisville, NC State. I don't really get the notion to get Louisville ranked. 5-0 and everything, but I mean, look at the win against Georgia Tech wasn't very impressive at all. They barely scraped by what I think is a pretty bad NC State team, and then they also only beat Indiana by 7. And again, as I preach, there's a lot more to do than be a box score watcher. And from what I've seen of this Louisville team, I really have never come away impressed, aside from the games against Murray State, Boston College in the second half against Georgia Tech. Other than that, this team is pretty underwhelming, especially considering the elite talent that they have at wide receiver. They have 3 or 4 absolute stars at receiver, most notably Jabari Thrash. But how about a guy like Chris Bell, who's one of my, I've been weighing on this guy to get his opportunity. He gets a big chance and scores a big touchdown against NC State to help them win that game. But I really dislike that NC State team. Louisville has a lot of work to do to earn their stripes. Them in Maryland, I feel that they're pretty overvalued at their 5-0 marks. I don't think either team really deserves a top 25 ranking. Maryland didn't get it, and people are outraged on Twitter, but that's rightfully so. Like, I don't know, just watch them play. Let's see what they do against a competent team. They play their first competent team against Ohio State in a few days. Like, let's slow down. Let's watch Maryland play against a good team. Let's evaluate it. And then after they played their first team with a heartbeat all season, we can then say, hey, they only lost to Ohio State by 13 and they look good. Yeah, we could rank them now. Let's be better about it. I'm just realizing I probably shouldn't go through and like give results for every game. That would take forever. So sorry, Louisiana Tech, UTEP. I love seeing Cyrus Allen get a big like 85-yard catch on the first play though. BYU, since he was pretty dope too. Chase Roberts, he's going to be in the NFL. We're seeing Puka Nacua go crazy for the Rams right now. I would look. Chase Roberts doesn't have the same level of success, but he's going to be a guy that makes his way into the NFL. I love watching him last year break out against Baylor. Love watching him, right now at BYU too. He's a very good, reliable receiver that just finds ways to get open, has great hands, and he's a force to be reckoned with. That was a pretty nice win for BYU as well. And then, of course, on Friday, I wouldn't forget Utah, Oregon State. AP voters, our voters at the transfer portal, CFP voters everywhere made massive mistakes by moving the Beavers down so much after they lost that game to Washington State, in which they made a furious comeback, and it doesn't pan out. Whatever. Resilience was good to see from an offense that really shouldn't be scoring 35 in a game, and they got 35 in the end. They scored 21 in the fourth quarter against Washington State. You don't unrank them, and they showed you don't move them down. Sorry for botching that speaking, but yeah, you don't move them down, and they showed why you don't. They just went out there. I don't care that Cameron Rising wasn't playing, that Brant Keithy wasn't playing, insert player here wasn't playing, and yet Utah's like dealing with a lot of injuries. I get it. But it's the physicality in which Oregon State plays with and matched of Utah's, and did more than match it. They overwhelmed Utah physically. They physically dominated Utah and embarrassed them to a point that we have not seen Utah made like we don't see Utah get bullied like that. It's as simple as that. Oregon State's a really good team. Utah's still a good team. Just wait till Utah gets their pieces back. Let's see what they can do with Cam Rising, with Brant Keithy on the field, with all these other players that they're missing. Let's see what they could do. Don't trip on Utah. They should still be thought of highly. If you thought highly of Utah going in, rank them number 10 or whatever, I think I had them at 11. And I'm sorry. I'll look at what I have them now because I don't remember, unfortunately, but you don't move them down some seismic amount because they went to Reeser and lost a really good Oregon State team that was very undervalued at that moment. You just don't do that. Let me just see what I did with Utah. I have Utah at 16 now. I think I had them at 12, maybe it was 11. So I only moved them down like 4 or 5 spots, and it seems like a lot, but I mean the teams I have ahead of them: 12 at Oregon State, 13 Notre Dame, 14 Duke, 15 Oklahoma, 16 Utah. That's the range of teams that Utah's in. That's I truly believe that. A full healthy Utah team is scary to think about. They could easily win the Pac-12 and the best Pac-12 we've possibly ever seen. Rip. The Utah team is good. People are tripping though. It's what people do in college football. You overreact to 1 week. Think of what you've seen from Utah the rest of the season that had you believing in them despite not playing at full health. Like the game against UCLA, a defensive masterclass. What they were able to do in the trenches and overwhelm a really good UCLA offensive line is impressive. Now I'm going to move on and just say one thing about Oregon State. love that they put Aiden Childs in the game and gave him an opportunity. It was scripted to get him in on the third drive. I liked it. He had a really nice throw downfield, and he had some mistakes too. He's a true freshman. He's got to learn. And going in and playing against Utah, true freshman thrown in there in the fire, I thought he did a pretty good job. I'm so excited to see what his future holds, whether it's at Oregon State or at another school. I love it too. I'm so against the whole two quarterback thing. And yeah, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. I don't. Let's see. I really liked it in this situation though, because DJU was struggling. He had been struggling the last few weeks. And when Aiden Giles came in, threw a nice ball and kind of looked like he had something going, and maybe Oregon State fans want to see more of that kid, the true freshman. Something clicked in DJ's mind. Something clicked. The fire was lit within his belly once again. He went out there for the rest of the game, countless number of just pristine balls that he threw with incredible ball placement. It was a really good tactic from Jonathan Smith. And, the signal he had at the end of the game, I'm not going to reenact it, but you know what I'm talking about, milking the clock and all that stuff. Moving on to Saturday, plenty of games were played. I guess we'll start with the ranked matchups. I got called a fool by plenty for coming into the season saying that Georgia's toughest game on the year was going to be at Auburn. Hey, man, I don't know what to tell you because their toughest game to date. Oh, okay, Bruins barking, very cool. Their toughest game to date at Auburn. Oh gosh. Apologies. The dog was barking. Yeah, Georgia's toughest game today and possibly could be our regular season. We're gonna be there. Okay. And people are gonna come away with it and think, wow, I don't like Georgia. And I understand that. And as someone who has been kind of saying all month, Georgia's been very unimpressive. They really have been. This wasn't one of those cases, though. This was the most impressive Georgia's looked all season. It's not even up for debate. It just isn't. This was the best game that we might see from. I don't like it. Just you got to really look into it and evaluate more than a 27-20 final score and look at the adversity that they faced with Carson Beck making his first true road start and just feeding Brock Bowers. Brock had 121 in the fourth quarter in the game-winning touchdown. He's a cheat code. He's a superhero. He saved the day. 99 overall. People want the push man. If you're not a Georgia fan and you root for anyone else in college football, you should want Brock Bowers band because he's that good. Anytime you throw to him, it doesn't matter if you put the focus on him. They'll find someone else open. And if you do put the focus on him, it still doesn't matter. It really doesn't. He had the one-handed snag that he made. Unbelievable. And didn't even count because he lined up ineligible. And just before that, he had a remarkable catch where Beck threw the ball behind him. He had to make an adjustment. Another just ridiculous circus catch. And it's just like, I don't know what his draft capital is going to be. I don't know if he's going to be a top 10 guy because I don't think that the value aligns there. But, and I think that the poor taste of people's mouths and Kyle Pitts going 4 and the lack of production he's put because of the system he plays in will turn people off from going tight end so early. But you're getting talent like that in the middle of the first round, maybe like pretty dang good. And if I had a Heisman vote, Brock Bowers, man, he'd be up there. He's easily a top 5 player in the country. We could say top 3 if you say he's the best. I'm not going to agree because I think Caleb Williams is the best at the end of the day. But Brock's up there. He's really up there. He's one of the most feared players in the sport for good reason. And I mean, yeah, man, this is a really good win for Georgia. The adversity that was faced, Auburn was burning Georgia on the edges with run game all game long, and then Georgia clamped up. And it was looking like a disaster for Georgia. I really thought Auburn was going to end up winning this game. You fumbled the first play of the second half. Auburn scores a touchdown. You come back, you fumble the next play. And thankfully for Georgia and that fan base, it's overturned. And because his knee was down, elbow was down, whatever, and you keep the ball. But that could have been really bad for Georgia. I like how their defense stepped up. I like how the offense stepped up. The sense of urgency was there. but that's their issue is they'll get off to these slow starts. So they're down 10-0 at Auburn after their first quarter. You can't keep playing yourself in those kinds of situations. You really can't. So Georgia's got to find something there to have that sense of urgency. Act like you're down 17-0 entering the game. Like opening kickoff, you're down 17-0. How do we fight back? How do we play like that? Play like that. And Georgia could easily run the table in an impressive manner rather than run the table against a stinky schedule and kind of it's like it's not a great product every week. You go out there, act out like you're down 17-0 opening kickoff. They run this thing very easily, and we'll see them in the playoff, and we look forward to it. But right now, where do I have them ranked? I have them ranked number 3. Yeah, I think number 3 is fair because I think the upside there is that this could very well be the best team in the country if they lock in. We haven't seen lock in aside from third quarters, fourth quarter. So I think number 3 is fine for them. Michigan smoked Nebraska. Wow. To no surprise, Nebraska's same on Nebraska. I'm gonna leave it at that. Actually, no, I'm not because Michigan, credit where credit is due. First game all season, they didn't play with their food. They went out there, took care of business, made easy work of it. Good for them. We needed to see that. Texas, Kansas was weird. I don't think that game should have been close. And it wasn't. It wasn't as the final score would indicate 40-14, but the first half was close. Texas really didn't take advantage of their opportunities. Really bad throw by Quinn Ewers at the end of the half. That Sark at the halftime interview kind of like tried to say, it wasn't that bad. I like that from Sark. I love that from Sark. That he was like, yeah, I understand what Quinn was thinking there. He didn't think the safety was going to come over and blah, blah, blah. He's just kind of explaining it. I don't know word for word, so I'm sorry. But I love that Sark did that and backed up his quarterback in that spot. However, from I'm sure they talked to Quinn about it because situationally it doesn't really make sense. He ends up having a receiver over the middle, over the top that he could hit for a potential touchdown because that safety did come over and leave that assignment absolutely vacated. The issue here is I believe Texas had 2 or 3 timeouts. I think it was 3, and you're throwing the ball like 10 yards short of the end zone with 5 seconds left is the time of the interception. If he catches that ball and doesn't get down immediately, yikes. You might run out of time. You might not even get the kicker field goal because he was up too long trying to score a touchdown on 0 seconds around the clock. I'm probably just running the ball there if I'm Texas, or I'm taking one end zone shot and stressing this has to go to the end zone. If it doesn't, we gotta be better and learn. Probably run the ball there though. If I'm not taking the end zone shot and taking my 3, getting up 16-7.5, and just run that thing. But credit again, like Texas had anything that they wanted in that second half, and rightfully so. Kansas is a better team with Jalen Daniels, obviously, but I don't think his presence matters in this game. I really don't. Penn State, Northwestern. Yeah, I moved Penn State down from 2 to 7 after this game, despite not everyone, but numerous people being mad and saying me the final score. Congrats on beating Northwestern 41-13. How low are we saying the ball? Because that first half was absolutely despicable. The games that we've seen from Penn State in recent weeks have not been up to the standards that I set for them, thinking that this was a national championship winning team with a Heisman winning quarterback. And I gave up on Drew Aller to win the Heisman after 2 weeks. It's not going to happen. He's a great quarterback. He's a great pro prospect. If I was a quarterback, I would not be going to play football at Penn State right now. Is what it is. The scheme is just ain't very good. It's just not. I do love. I'll say it. James Franklin tends to do this. Yurich tends to do this. They'll get into the, inside the 10. They got inside. He loves running that wing T, right? So out of a wing T inside the 10, they went QB sneak, run right. And then they went QB sneak, and they score. Yeah, 4th and goal. It took them to score, but it's automatic touchdown. QB sneak is so good. They're picking up chunky yards from it for QB sneak standards. Like, I love that. Use that against good teams too. You can do it. You could thrive with it. But nonetheless, like, I'm sour right now in Penn State because the offensive line, man, The offensive line has been let down. Just has Fashawn is still amazing and everything, but that team, that unit is not as dominant as I thought coming into the season, and that is a worry. And we'll see how they fare against tougher competition. I mean, we all know Penn State essentially just plays a 2-game schedule this year. That's fine, is what it is. Ohio State plays 3-game schedule. Michigan plays a 2-game schedule. We'll see how things end up doing. I don't know though. I wish that I said it before this game. I said on our week 5 preview, I said, man, I wish that James Franklin could just be willing to see Drew Aller in this offense in a more modern scheme that's not so ice agey, and just kind of say, oh wow, Drew Aller's not that thing picking up plenty of yards. Our receivers look good. We're scoring points and kind of quickly. I kind of like this. I'd love to see it. Their defense is dominant. And yeah, like I'm just not afraid to drop a team down my pool. Like other people shouldn't either. It's okay to do. Penn State is not the team that I thought they were coming into the season. That's why I dropped them to 7, and they could earn it back. Just like I dropped them 5 spots, you beat Ohio State, you can go up 5 or 6 spots depending on other stuff that happens. Like it's very simple. Washington, Arizona, kind of expected. Washington sleepwalking. Oregon's on deck. Yes, bye week in between, but they're focused on Oregon. Oregon was also focused on Washington. Washington sleptwalk, and that's what every Pac-12 diehard was expecting to see. So 31-24 win, cool. 31 will be the lowest or second lowest points total that Washington puts up all season. Talk to any Pac-12 guy about playing a late night road game in Tucson or Tempe. Ask Trevor Trout. Ask Keyshawn Lucy or South. Ask some guys that play in the Pac-12 about those games. Biggest traps on the schedule. They're disgusting. You're not really focused on the football, to say the least, when those teams are bad. SC Colorado, kind of the same thing going here for USC that we expected coming into the season. That's why I ended up dropping them to 6. It's because, very simply put, Alex Grinch coaches that defense. It's a soft defense. Cam Bullock's one heck of a ball hawk. Really still needs to work on his tackling, but I mean, like, what are we doing here? Genuinely, SC got off to a very hot start. They're smoking Colorado. And much like we've even seen from Lincoln Riley wins Oklahoma, foot comes off the gas in the second half. Why? You got to care about style points, maybe. Maybe you got to care about those. Because there's box score watchers out there that'll look at this and be like, well, he beat Colorado by 7. This game wasn't that close. We know your offense is capable. Also, Dorian Singer, I feel bad for him. Yes, he caught a touchdown, 3 receptions for 24 yards, I believe. Wow, do I feel bad for him. Another instance of, man, I wish I could consult these kids on where to transfer. Oh my goodness, do I wish I could do that. Omarion Miller, what a game for him for Colorado too. But like, dude, if I'm in Dorian Singer's circle, am I signing him to USC? The bag is nice, but a chance of playing the NFL with a sweet payday and guaranteed draft capital is a lot more enticing, is it not? If I'm Dorian Singer and if I want to stay out west, probably looking at Oregon. I'm not trying to go to Washington and be their third option. I could be the WR2 at Oregon. I think I'm cool with that. He thought he was the WR1 going to SC. That was probably never going to be the case. Look at how much talent there is in that receiver group. They have like 80 receivers that are good to play. I'm Dorian Singer. Sorry, if I'm in that circle, maybe I'm telling them to go somewhere in Texas. Maybe I'm telling them to go to Oklahoma. I'm not telling them to go to SC though. I don't really think that. I just don't really think that was a very good business move. It is what it is. Respect the kid's decision at the end of the day. I just feel bad for him. I really do, because I know he could be generating a heck of a lot more somewhere else. Oregon, Stanford, like I said, Oregon started slow. They're down 3 after their first quarter. They were down 6-0. Joshua Carty, what a kicker, pro guy. And then Oregon, flips a switch and get going. Like, yeah, that's what you'd expect. And maybe you would be surprised to hear, if you're not a Pac-12 guy, that Oregon fans were terrified of this game in the first quarter. It's just the Stanford effect. You're playing in front of like 28 fans, and half of them are reading newspapers, and the other half are doing calculus. I mean, my goodness, what an environment there. Oof. On the farm. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is for both Oregon and Washington. They get past opponents that they pretty much both slept block against. They have 5 weeks this week, and they play each other week 7 in college game. They better be there. They better be there. They will be there. They can't possibly miss out on that one, right? Notre Dame Duke. Good job by Game Day getting the Duke. That was pretty dope to see. Really fun. And Duke's field is sick too. The stadium's amazing, but that field is so immaculate. The paint and the green grass just looks so luscious. This was a really good football game. I thought it was better played than Notre Dame, Ohio State. And it's funny with Notre Dame because they should have beat Ohio State. They lost that one. They should have lost to Duke. They won that one. And that's the guy who wanted to see the world burn, and Duke make a bid to get into the playoff. I really think they could have. I would have loved for Notre Dame to beat Ohio State and Duke to beat Notre Dame. I kind of want to live in that world, but let's focus on that game. Duke's front seven, the real deal. I mean, coming into the season, I thought I was high on Duke. We all are well aware of that now. Coming into the season, I was thinking, yeah, Duke's offense is going to be just generate plenty of good chunk plays, and they'll be good. They'll score like 30-ish a game or whatever, and the defense just going to have to be solid. And wow, this defense, top 15 unit in the country at minimum. They could very well be a top 15 defense. I knew coming into the year they have 6-7 playable DBs. The front seven, the guys in the trenches on that defensive line, I don't know if there's been a more impressive unit coming into going into October now. So a month of play, I don't know if there's been a more impressive unit in the country than Duke's defensive line. You want to talk about a guy who's made, his dreams come true, millions of dollars waiting for him at the next level. His name's going to be called in the NFL draft soon enough. Career's a success. He's going to do good things in the NFL. It's Dwayne Carter, number 5 on that Duke defense. That's a dog. Just see, we got to understand what Duke just did. Their defensive line, their front seven, what they just did against Notre Dame's offensive line. Manhandled them. Autry Estime only got loose once, and it was the game-winning touchdown. Notre Dame has 2 touchdown drives that game. One's off a fake punt that I'm surprised Duke didn't call timeout for, and just so 1 touchdown drives off a fake punt, and the other is 96, 97, 98, whatever yard drive to win the game at the end of it. And Autry Estime only got loose once. I mean, it is so. It's tough though. It's tough to look at this game as someone who was really pulling for Duke, and that's okay. We can admit that. I wanted to see that story really play out, an undefeated Duke story. I was so here for that, and I'm sure a lot of other people were starting to jump on that bandwagon. And I wanted to be right, so I was kind of I saw the path of the playoff, and Duke wins this game if on 4th and 16 they send 5 after Sam Hartman. They win the game. It's so mind-boggling to me as someone like Coach Elko. He's a top 10 coach in the sport. I don't think there's any debate about that at all. If people want to debate about it, I don't think you know college football. Imagine what Elko would be doing at SEC school. If he was at Auburn, for example, if you was at Ole Miss, imagine things he would be doing. Ole Miss would be winning a lot more of those big games. We saw Elko big games against Clemson and Notre Dame, and he's at Duke, and we just saw what he's able to do. That team is legit, but it was so surprising to me because not setting pressure there is just not in Elko's, like, it doesn't line up with his philosophy, in my opinion. As someone who's watched a lot of Duke last year and this year, he wants to send pressure, and he was sending pressure, and they were generating pressure all game long. Drive long on that foul drive, and you'll send 5 there on 4th and 16 and seal the deal and win that game. Heck, send 3. At least have a QB spy. At least. And like Duke's DBs against 6-7 playable DBs, they all were great. They weren't giving up any separation all night, aside from like the first drive and a few missed throws. And like, you gotta trust the DBs there. You gotta trust your pressure to get after him, and you win that game. And Riley Leonard's not hurt. I don't know what Riley Leonard's status is. My honest thought, I think he's going to be out for the season. I'm really sad about that. I mean, he's one of my favorite players in the country as a person and just a player to watch. I have a joy watching him. I think he's going to be out for the year, unfortunately. I really hope I'm wrong. Obviously, praying for him and everything, but brutal. And Duke's offensive line, a really good unit, and they'll let the team down in this game. Notre Dame's, as much credit as I gave to the big fellas on Duke's defensive line, Notre Dame's edge rushers, they got after it. They were generating pressure all night, making things tough for Riley. That it was just a really good football game. And it stinks that team had to lose. It stinks that the team that lost really should have won it. But on the flip side, it's good for Notre Dame because they deserved to win last week. They didn't get it. They didn't deserve to win this week. They got it. And I just thought it was a really well played, impressive football game. It just wasn't with Ohio State Notre Dame, but it was with Notre Dame too. That was a really good football game. I'm very excited to see how Notre Dame uses this for momentum going forward. And I don't know what's to come for Duke. If Riley's out, dream season is it's looking a lot bleaker. So that stinks. I'll move quickly here. Alabama over Mississippi State. Good for Alabama. Good for Jalen Milroe. They look like a football team. Their defense again is nasty. Caleb Downs' first interception. That pick is going to be on this highlight reel when he's drafted in a few years. But good for Alabama. Good for the offensive line. Tyler Booker balled out. A really good, the best showing of the season for Alabama. It's not even close. So hopefully they could build off that. Ole Miss LSU. Yeah. So one, Jaden Daniels is just on the heater of his life. The throws that he is making, immaculate ball placement. He's throwing beautiful balls in the end zone. He's balling out. And I feel bad for him as someone who's really criticized him this season and doubted him and doubted this LSU team in due part because of him. I feel bad for him because it's not his fault that LSU's 3-2. Yeah, I thought LSU would be 3-2 to start the season. But yes, it was because I thought they'd be 3-2 or 2-3. Well, it's because of their quarterback play. I didn't trust Jane Daniels. It's their defense. Defense is abysmal. They don't use Harold Perkins like he should be used. They have too many good, talented players on defense to be giving up 55, to be giving up all those explosive plays against Florida State. They're too good. They're too talented. Brian Kelly doesn't take any accountability. It's disgusting. I want to throw up right now. I actually don't want to throw up, but it is really unfortunate to see the head coach of LSU deflect everything, never take accountability. His defense is really bad. Their offense is good enough to compete, make the playoff. I wouldn't have thought that. Their defense is terrible. It's as Swiss cheese gets. Holes everywhere. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. Whoa. Top 3 duo receiver in the country. Who would have thought that coming into the year? The Malik Neighbors would have had a 6 sidekick. Brian Thomas has made himself some good money. Ole Miss, good win. Big game Lane. Lane Kiffin wins a big game. Good for him, man. Good for him. I'm still pretty cautious about the SEC and the SEC West in particular, though. I think it could be peak Pac-12 cannibalization. Oklahoma, Iowa State, close there for a bit, then Oklahoma just blew the doors off them. The offense has potential. I'm really excited to see them against Texas. The defense, Oklahoma's got a good defense. Of course, Brent Venables, Tennessee, South Carolina. Tennessee apparently won their Super Bowl. Hope Brew McCoy is going to be okay. I thought it was really weird for the broadcast to show him in the ambulance. I completely disagree with that production decision. That was disgusting. Yeah, good win for Tennessee, though. That's the best game that they've played all season. Most impressive result, regardless of opponent. Good for them. Joe Milton was clicking there. They found some things. Defense took advantage of a bad South Carolina offense line, created some pressure. Fortrat learned some bad throws, and Squirrel White too. Oof, what player? Like, good for Tennessee. I still can't rank them. Like, I don't think they're worthy of the ranking yet. They gotta prove me. They gotta prove me wrong in these next few weeks. Who they got coming up? They got A&M coming up, Alabama, Kentucky. Alabama and Kentucky are on the road, and they have the bye week. The bye weeks after the Alabama game. Tennessee beats A&M in impressive fashion. Perhaps I rank them. Perhaps. But, all eyes on the Alabama game. We'll see what happens. Again, still skeptical of the SEC in due part because, well, not even in due part because of this, but Kentucky dominated Florida in every aspect of the sport, and that wasn't surprising at all. Florida was never, ever deserving of a top 25 ranking. This is a 6-win team, potentially 7 if they truly hit their ceiling and play out incredible football every game the rest of the season or quarter, then they'll be a 7-win team. At best, this is a 6-win team, in my opinion. How they are ranked is beyond me. AP voters, you just embarrass this sport. You really do. And I'm sorry. Don't mistake my passion for hatred, because this is all passionate. It's not coming from a place of hate. It's because I want to see this sport represented the best way possible. And you all, AP voters, they all have a responsibility being an AP voter that many of us, including myself, are very jealous of. I would love to be an AP voter and vote much like a Heisman voter, like do things the right way and not have these biases and preconceived thoughts and this old 1960s way of thinking how college football ranking should be or something. Like, you gotta fix this stuff. There ain't no way Florida should be ranked. There was no reason for them to be ranked. Kentucky dominating them was no surprise. I still disagree too with Kentucky being ranked. Kentucky's gonna have a big game this week against Georgia. Excited to see how they look. If Kentucky looks good against Georgia, yeah, I'll rank them. If not, you've still got Mizzou and Tennessee in the weeks after Kentucky, and I'll evaluate you. I'll see how you look, and if you still look good, sure, I could rank you. But you didn't look too good against Ball State, despite covering. Sure, they covered last play of the game. Whoop-de-doo. Eastern Kentucky looked absolutely abysmal at this sport. Akron, congrats on beating them. And then Vandy and Florida, you got. Devin Leary still threw for like 60-ish yards in that game against Florida. Ray Davis ran all over them. Their defense played well. I don't think that Florida team is very good. I don't think the SEC is good. If we call the best conference in the country the Pac-12, let's prioritize getting those rankings fixed then and moving up the Pac-12 teams at the top and at the bottom of the top 25 and taking some of the SEC teams out. This is the worst SEC that we've seen possibly since I've come out the womb. Let's just be honest. Speaking of SEC, Mizzou beat Vandy. Luther Burden My goodness. We knew he was special. We whined all last season for him to get the ball more. He is. Brady Cook is turning his doubters into believers. He, Luther Burden though, man. I mean, a special guys. As Rakestraw had some good play. Um, I think that there's promise with Mizzou. It's just again another team that I'd be hesitant to rank because I don't love when teams so consistently go out there and they play with their food. Mizzou wasn't good against South Dakota. They weren't good against MTSU. They were good against Kansas State. They were decent at best against Memphis. And then, yes, you beat Vanderbilt in impressive fashion. Good. That's what we want. That's what we want to see. Don't play with your food. But lest we forget, Mizzou fans hated this team after 2 games. Like that. I don't know. Like, I see everything that every fan base says. Mizzou fans were not impressed with their team. I wasn't impressed either. Now we could start figuring things out, though, Mizzou, and we could look impressive and we could win big games. We could beat LSU this week. LSU will never be in the top 25 again until, like, I don't know, late November, if they get there. Again, coming into the season, I said LSU is a 9-win team, possibly, very possible LSU only wins 8 games. Mizzou, if you go beat LSU this week, you could be in the top 20. You really can. You could be in the top 20 in my poll. I'm not talking about the AP poll. I'm talking about my poll because you'll have a very impressive win against Kansas State, of a very impressive win against a very talented LSU team, which, hey, things might not be clicking, but you beat LSU. I know it's because your front seven is getting pressure on Jay Daniels, forcing bad throws, and setting up the offense for success. Luther Burden could go out there and put up a whole lot of numbers against LSU's defense this week. So let's see a good game, Mizzou. Don't let me down. Don't let anyone else down. Go out there, play a good game. My rankings will reflect where you should be. Fresno State, another team I don't have in the top 25. 2 very weird results in this season for them. Only beating a top 25 FCS team in Eastern Washington by 3 at home in the game that they probably should have lost. And then only scoring 27 against Nevada at home and winning 27-9. Let's be better than that. Like Jalen Gill, though, man. I just wrote about Jalen Gill for my player spotlight this week. He's gonna find himself on NFL radars. I love Jeff Tedford, and I love what he and that staff are able to get out of players and players that were kind of looked at as misfits and outcasts, and they come into Fresno State and they revitalize their careers, and that's what they're doing with Jalen Gill. Mikey Keene's balling out too, through 2 interceptions, so you can't have that. Eric Brooks is just like Eric Brooks and Jalen Gill are scary receiving duo. You got Carlton Johnson, who's just making interceptions every week. Like Fresno State's got a really good team. Do I think that they're best in the Mountain West though? I don't. I think Air Force is the best team in the Mountain West. I think Air Force needs to be ranked. The Air Force could very well make the New Year's Six out of the group of 5. I think right now, I think there's 3 clear top teams in the group of 5 right now, and that's Tulane, and that's James Madison, that's Air Force. And of course, James Madison can't even make the big dance. Can't even make a New Year's Six. They gotta apply for a waiver, and maybe the NCAA will be nice. Is the NCAA ever gonna be nice? We know the answer to that. Free Tess Walker, free Brayton Trice, free James Madison. Texas A&M got a nice win over Arkansas. Minnesota escaped past the Ragin' Cajuns. You can't throw the ball anywhere near Tyler Nubin. That is a free interception for him every single time. Clemson. I showed Clemson some respect. I just did. Clemson looked good. Their offense looked good. Clemson found something. Clemson has something at receiver in Tyler Brown. It is the first time since Justin Ross that I could say Clemson has a really good wide receiver that helps elevate this offense. Ty Brown, 9 catches, 153 yards, big 40-ish yard catch, near 50, I think, to like really propel Clemson in this game. And he's a very safe and reliable receiver, and he's the complete opposite of receiver that Clemson's been gunning for in recruiting. Clemson, I've been harping on it. Clemson's been going for tall, like 6'3", 6'4", jump ball threats. Don't separate naturally. It doesn't fit their offense. So Tyler Brown's the opposite of that. I think he's like 5'11". He's lightning quick, great burst, explosiveness, natural separator, and he's finding his way open down the field. And Klubnik's able to just dial him up deep, and they get on the ball short yardage, and he's a very good player, and he helps take this offense from below mediocrity to something solid. Like he's that big of a difference maker as a young freshman. Clemson has something special, and Tyler Brown, he will be in the NFL eventually. Look out for him in the coming weeks and the coming months. James Madison flexed their muscles again. Really nice win over South Alabama. South Alabama is one of the most disappointing teams in the entire country. Virginia, Owen. I mean, was Virginia 0-5? I mean, you gotta make the hard decisions in this industry. I don't know how you could justify keeping Tony Elliott around any longer. This team is terrible in every second half that they play. They get outclassed, outcoached. The adjustments are never there. Every opponent that they play seems to have every answer for them in the second half, and that includes Boston College offense. Was humming in the second half against you. Virginia always seems to start games a bit strong for Virginia standards. They score points. Their scripted plays are really good. After that, it's a complete kerfuffle. It's a disaster class, and you gotta make a change. You really have to make a change. I think Boston College needs to make a change too. I don't think Hafley's the guy there. What else? Maryland beat down on Indiana, but I don't think it's really right to have Maryland ranked yet, because I think you have to. It depends. If you were high on Maryland entering the season, and like you're really high on them because you like what you've seen, then sure you could rank them. If you're only wanting to rank Maryland because they're 5-0, you're out of your mind and don't really know the sport. They beat Towson. They got down against Charlotte and end up being Charlotte. They beat Virginia. They were down 14-0 to Virginia and were able to turn on and get going good. Stop playing with their food, though. They beat Michigan State and they beat Indiana. Charlotte, Virginia, Indiana, 3 of the worst teams in the country. And then Michigan State, another disaster. That's the team we want to rank. Again, if you're high on them entering the season, if you're high on them because of the talent that they have and everything, and you're a true believer, sure. If you're going to rank them because of 5-0 and they have 3 wins against 3 of the worst teams in the country, plus Michigan State and FCS going Towson, we got to be better. If Maryland competes hard against Ohio State, then yeah, we could talk about ranking them win or loss. We win, they're obviously going to be ranked. They'd be a top 25 team at that point. They approved it. Why would we rank this team with this resume, with sporadic gameplay throughout the season, after one of the most unimpressive 5-0 starts on paper, like quality of opponent? I mean, like, it's so bad. Charlotte, Virginia, Indiana, and then Michigan State, Towson. That's nowhere near any sort of quality. I'm very excited for the game against Ohio State, because they got to prove me something. You got to show me something. Show me something against the best. Illinois is a massive letdown. I guess they're not even a letdown because I didn't expect much from them. Getting eviscerated by Purdue, though, in 2023 is kind of impressive. Georgia Tech, also impressive. Smoked by Bowling Green. Finn Hogan, what a catch to really propel Bowling Green in that game. They never looked back after that catch. One-handed snag got them a 17-14 lead. Houston's defense is really bad. I think Dana's out soon. I think Holgerson will be. I think they'll part ways or fire him before the season ends. I mean, like it could happen before Thanksgiving, man. It could happen before November. Things that are really bad. Good for Texas Tech, I suppose. Finally looking good. Trey McCray had a big kick return. I'd get him the ball more. Like I would get him more touches on offense. UCF finding a way to lose to Baylor after leading by a lot. What it was 35 to 7, right? I'm not mistaken, right? It was 35-7 and they lost 36 to 35. I can't like say that I watched every second of this game because I truly had no interest in watching Baylor. Yeah, it was 35-7. I had no interest in really watching Baylor. I thought UCF would roll them over. And then start watching with like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And how you lose that game. Welcome to the Big 12, I suppose. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. Just an embarrassing win. An embarrassing loss. Sorry, embarrassing loss. Good one for Baylor. Impressive to show that off. Arkansas State has something in quarterback Jalen Rayner. He's just carving defenses every week. Exciting freshman quarterback that they have. Keep an eye on Jalen Rayner. Love Alex Golish, obviously. He's doing such good things at South Florida. Byron Brown is a stud. Toledo, Northern Illinois play a really close game. Northern Illinois is 1-4. Their lone win being against Boston College, and I can't help but think, like this is what happens in the MAC. In the MAC, so much more than any conference. You're playing close games. You've got so many coin flip games. And Northern Illinois was on the right side of them 2 years ago. They weren't last year. They had quarterback issues last year, and this year I'm thinking coin's gonna be on the right side this time. Quarterback plays come back. Rocky Lombardi's awful. Please make a switch to Hampton. And they've lost coin flip games. They beat Boston College by 3. They lost to Southern Illinois 14-11. They lost to Tulsa by 8. They lost to Toledo by 2, and then they got smoked to Manel by Nebraska. Really weird that they scored 11 in back-to-back weeks, by the way. But I thought Northern Illinois could win the MAC West division. I suppose they still can. They're only on 1 in conference, but you had an opportunity to get a really big win against Toledo and get yourselves on the right path, and you failed to get it, and you've lost 4 straight games since beating Boston College. And yes, you've got Akron coming up next. You better beat them, but then you've got Ohio. And you still have to play at Central Michigan. Still play Ball State. Like, the good thing for Northern Illinois is the back half of their schedule is pretty soft. Soft for MAC standards, but look, I don't know. I'm pretty sour on Northern Illinois right now. Toledo's a very good team. Obviously, Quinion Mitchell's going to make the NFL and possibly be a day 2 pick. Memphis, Boise State. Boise State, one of the other most disappointing teams in the country. I don't get it. I don't get it. The coaching is questionable. I think that this game is enough to make a change and get Avalos out there. You were leading this game and really handling things. It was 17-0 in the second quarter. Ashton Jeanty is a top 5 running back in the country. I could get on board to say he's top 3. He's that special. He is everything for this Boise State team, and their defense just hasn't been impressive. Which they had a bunch of guys on the cusp of breaking out, and they're all not hitting, and it's just like it's unfortunate. People might want to point to George Halani loss being something why Boise State's 2-3, but What? That means nothing. Ashton Jeanty, I just told you, is one of the best running backs in the country. You don't need Halani. Jambres Dubar, exciting true freshman. Like, they've got the talent on offense. Taylon Green, how many programs would love to have a quarterback with Taylon Green and that skill set that he possesses? It's just mismanagement of your roster. You could have all the talent and stink. And that's what's happening here because you're not putting your players in the best spots to succeed. Taylon Green needs more than 8 carries in the game. Taylon Green shouldn't be a throw first quarterback. You have to run this kid because that's going to unlock his legs, and that's the best part of his game. And with that, will unlock the rest of the offense. Ashton Jeanty will get more, he'll get less attention put on him, and more attention is going to go towards stopping Taylon Green and like read option stuff. And more RPO stuff would be good because I still think Taylon Green is a good quarterback, but like, I don't know, the mismanaged of talent's really annoying. It just is. I hope GT transfers out. I hope Dubart stays because I would love to just see him be RB1 next season and really platform and boost his stock as he'll be a true freshman next season. I would love Taylor Green to transfer to a different group of five school. He's stay in the group of five, but they mismanage him so badly, and it's nauseating. And I would also make a move out. I would get rid of Avalos, and I would send Ryan Grubb up at Washington as the OC. I'd send him a blank check. I try and make him refuse it. He's gonna have a lot of teams coming after him though. He'll probably have NFL looks too, but there's nothing wrong with saying Ryan Grubb a blank check and just saying, well, what would it take for you to coach Boise State and bring us back to national relevancy? Because this isn't Boise State. This isn't the Boise State that many of us grew up watching. This is a disaster. It just is. Speaking of disaster, Coastal Carolina, we could say it. We could be early to it. We said it in the moment too. Tim Beck was probably not the right hire. He is completely nuked this offense. I love Grayson McCall, Jared Brown, Sam Pinkney, Brandon Bennett, leading a cast of really good running backs. Their skill position players are so good. The offensive line's really not good. The defense is not helped out much at all. And I like Travis Trickett too. I love their OC. I don't I don't see it with Tim Beck. And he's been at numerous colleges now where he's kind of nuked and diminished what was a really good offense. And it's happening an iconic Coastal offense that we were told still gonna be good parts of it from Chadwell's reign in there, and there's just not. It's very rare that we get to see it. I feel really bad for Coastal and their fans. I feel bad for Grayson McCall, Jared Brown, the players. I feel bad for Coach Trickett because I really like this was a big opportunity for him. I love talking to him before the season and picking his brain. And as someone who like has gotten to speak with them, I know that he is capable of doing better with it. Like I would just give him the full reign over the offense and let him do what he wants. I don't know if he'd be as obsessed with bubble screens and swing passes as Coach Trickett is. Troy had a really nice win over Georgia State. Pretty disappointing for Georgia State to only score 7. Troy's defense showed up, played a really good game. Colorado State smoked Utah Tech, aka Dixie State. Torrey Horton went for 221 or something. He is a freak. Justice Ross Simmons had a good game, and Brandon Fowler Nicolosi is the real deal. He is the real deal. I guess we could talk about Iowa, Michigan State. Cooper DeJean saved that team. They should not be ranked in the top 25. Do not send votes to Iowa's way or any other Big Ten West team's way. Yes, I was 4-1, but we've all watched Iowa play. That's not a top 25 team. It's not a top 25 coaching staff. You should be being Michigan State in a lot cleaner fashion than the Cooper DeJean to bail you out with his game-winning punt return. West Virginia TCU. Impressive win by West Virginia. Glad to be on the right side of that one with my game pick. Absolutely disgusted by TCU fans who were booing West Virginia players every chance they got when West Virginia players got hurt. We saw a kid get card off in a neck brace. We saw another one get card off in an air cast. And these are guys that are going to the hospital and they're being booed when they're on the field in agonizing pain. Like, what are we doing? It's not like, if you want to boo when a kid clearly has cramps and like it was on the coaching staff telling them, go down, stop the momentum, stop the drive, kill the drive, then sure, it's fine. Dude, you're booing kids who are in agonizing pain, dealing with broken legs and neck injuries. Like, I think we could be halfway decent human beings and not boo when we see training staffs rush out there. I mean, the announcing crew, I don't remember who was on call. They were disgusted with what was happening with the TCU fans. I don't know. Like, the bar is so low to be a decent human. And you can't live up to that. I like, it's just bad. You see trainers rushing out there, you see a cart go out there, and you're still spooning. I don't get it. App State, 54-yard walk-off winning field goal to beat UL Monroe. App State continuing to play these heart racing heart racing games. They're just continuing to do it year after year now. And then Air Force smoked San Diego State. Air Force put 49 on San Diego State. This is not one of the better San Diego State teams that we've seen. Hope will probably be on his way out. Their defense is taking a big step back. Well, my goodness, can we put some respect on Zach Larrier and this Air Force team? He conducts that offense at such a high level. This Air Force team is legit. It's the best team in the Mountain West. This should be a top 25 team. They're going out there every week and they're taking care of business, aside from Sam Houston, whose defense did their defense pretty good. And they did a really good job against BYU. Good job against Jacksonville State for the most part. Good job against Air Force. Like, Sam Houston's got a good defense. They held their own. No, they only held Air Force with 13 points in that game. Aside from that, Air Force has gone out, scored 39 or more in every game. They're smoking opponents. They're 3-0 in Mountain West play. And that's a really good football team that has Wyoming. Not this week, but next week. I'm really looking forward to that game and the rest of Air Force season. If Air Force goes undefeated, I won't be surprised. If they go 11-1, again, won't be surprised. I think that this is an 11 or 12 win team in the regular season. Yeah, that'll do it. Kind of scuffed one-man podcast today. Sorry for that. I hope it was okay, though. I hope my rundown, I suppose we did, was pretty good. I know it was different from what we usually do. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned some college football stuff, and appreciate you for listening. Of course, make sure to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Week 6 preview. Cannot wait. Thank you for watching.